overhaul America's fiscal and entitlement programs, but will you, the voters, will you go along? You have 47% of Americans that don't pay a penny in income taxes, not 1 cent, and they think the tax system's fair. You have now more people ever before dependent on government for some assistance. How do you get the people that have been, let's say, mentally conditioned to look to government to now say, oh, Gary Johnson's right, we're going to cut all these services, we're going to restructure how we use them, and they say, wait a minute, you're taking away my benefit, my. Well, how do you get people to buy into it?
And Sean, you play a role in this every single day, talking about it every single day on your show, and that is that there's an awareness in this country right now that has never existed before in my lifetime. And in my lifetime, I have watched us spend more money than what we've taken in for my entire lifetime, and I've always thought there would be a day of reckoning. That day of reckoning is here, and it's now. Does this get us all to act on this? I'm under the belief, first off, that we are going to have this financial collapse, and I'm under the belief that we do have to take this on, and maybe there's an appetite to actually do that. Now, to do this would take Republicans to be in control of the Senate and the House and the presidency. Why the American electorate would give Republicans back control of this, given that a few short years ago they did this, and Republicans passed a prescription health care benefit and ran up record deficits at that time. I'm not sure why American citizens do that, but I'm under the belief that only the Republican Party can solve this. So I'm trying to grow the Republican base to get Republicans in a position to do this.
Do you think they've shown enough strength, for example, on the 2011 budget? Do you think they're showing enough resolve on the debt ceiling debate?
Well, it's moving in the right direction, but it's not nearly enough, and it's not getting there fast enough. I don't think we have 8 years. I really don't. This is going to be a bond market collapse. Well, this is going to be a bond market collapse.
America's bonds will collapse.
Well, there won't be an appetite. So the Federal Reserve, as you know, is buying up our debt right now. Come June, that's going to expire. They say they're not going to do that anymore. Well, what happens when there is no appetite for the debt, and they're going to have to step back in with QE3?
I am not disagreeing with you, and sadly, I say this, I think America under Obama, Pelosi, Reid is in a steep decline, and as a consequence, the world's in decline. So I agree with you. I just think that the political resolve has got to be there. There's not one thing that you've said so far that I disagree with.
No, I understand.
I don't know. Is the country?
You got it. You got it. And so from my standpoint here, I'm putting myself into this contest to be, if you will, talking the truth on these issues. And it wouldn't be just this issue. I would argue that it's going to be across the board. Whether or not this flies or not, that'll remain to be seen. But this is what I think I'm offering up.
Now, this is where I think your libertarian leanings is going to hurt you in some primaries. And I think it's the same thing for Ron Paul or any libertarian on the war. You don't think we belong in Afghanistan, Iraq?
Well, initially, Afghanistan was totally warranted. We were attacked. We attacked back. That's what our military is for. And we should remain vigilant to the terrorist threat. But after being in Afghanistan for 6 months, I think we pretty effectively wiped out Al-Qaeda. And here it is. We're there 10 years later, and we're building roads, schools, bridges, highways, and hospitals. And we're borrowing 43 cents out of every dollar to do that.
I agree with that aspect of it. But the argument being, of course, though, if they have a better society when we leave, the chances are I don't buy it. Because it's look, history has shown that you're not going to be able to do this. Here, but I disagree with this aspect, and that is that Iraq and Afghanistan were warranted because we had a whole series, you know all the incidents leading up to 9/11, people really at war with us. WikiLeaks even proved recently the depths to which they were planning after 9/11 future attacks, and we needed to go on offense.
See, what we don't argue about is the need for a strong national defense. We don't argue that at all. What we might argue about is the threat, the actual threat to our national security. So when it came to Iraq, I would have argued at that time that this isn't a threat to our national security. But if they do have weapons of mass destruction, we have the military surveillance capability to see that happen, and we could go in and strike at that point.
I don't want to re-argue the Iraq war, because we spent a lot of time on it. But
fast forward to Libya.
Okay, well, Libya, I think if you say that Gaddafi's got to go as the United States president, you better take him out. because I think this president, it all goes to this decline in America. I think he's timid, weak, indecisive, and I don't think he really has the moral courage to make a tough decision, and he's always pulled back to his radical ideological base. But on the issue of Iraq, we knew he used weapons of mass destruction. We had images of dead children, Kurds, in the north because chemical weapons were used, and the way he was acting made everybody and anybody, including most Democrats, conclude that he had them.
Well, and under the umbrella of a no-fly zone did this occur.
And up next, the Hannity primaries get a little heated as my discussion with Governor Johnson returns to the topic of legalizing